My game is an action-adventure game set in the dark and spooky forest where enemies can appear and attack at any moment. The suspense gives a thrilling aspect to the game, and the goal is to find all 3 keys. But to get to this game, first I learned a couple of stuff in game development class. First of all, there's the state machine. It's a behavior model. Like, to build the stuff, the first thing is state machine. It's a behavior model, and it consists of a finite number of states and is therefore also called a finite state machine. Based on the current state and given input, the machine performs state transitions and produces outputs. So like, you ever heard of Pac-Man? It has different modes where it can like follow the player, or it's just wandering around, or it's attacking the player. It takes those modes based off of the player's input or actions. So that's state machine. Oh, and I implemented this into my game by I have these guards protecting the keys, and what they do is when the player is near enough, they switch from just walking around the key to going to the player. So that's part of how I implemented state machine. And then there's also navigation pathfinding. It allows you to create characters that can intelligently move around the game world using navigation measures that are created automatically from your scene. The dynamic obstacles allow you to alter the navigation of the characters at runtime, while off missions let you build a specific action like opening doors or jumping down from a ledge. So basically, how I implemented this, well, I used to have like an earlier version of one of the enemies of the player that attacks the player, where it would wander around. Now I don't have it, I replaced it with the guards. So before I implemented this, and it would walk around and then attack after. And Unity also has a game audio. By the way, I created my game using Unity and some coding from C#. And Unity has a built-in method for triggering events when a button is pressed or when an action is played. And this includes option for playing an audio clip. There's also particle systems. In Unity, it has a versatile, robust system with many options and configurable settings that help you create an unlimited amount of effects that are highly customizable. I personally got a chance to make a particle effect. I didn't implement it on my game yet, but I plan to. It's like a fountain, like a spraying effect. And I have a fountain in a little town that I made, and I plan on putting it in a later version. And then there's a game user interface. A video game user interface is a system of visual components that allows players to interact with the game's story and break into the game space. There are 4 classes of UI in the video games: non-diegetic, diegetic, meta, and spatial. My game would be considered meta because it's not within the game's world, but it's within the game's story. So like there's health bars over it, so it's within the game's story, but it's not really a physical part in the game's world. And then there's terrain creation, probably my most favorite part because it was so fun to add all of the things in. Unity Terrain Editor enables you to create detailed and realistic terrains. Using the provided sets of terrain tools, you are able to efficiently design optimized landscapes with ease. I was able to make a river, add mountains, and then there's options to add trees and flowers and color in the terrain with a specific material. That was fun. And then environment design. There are logical permissions for your Unity game services that contain data associated with your project. Examples can include game code using cloud code or game configurations using remote config. And they're isolated. They're to make your game better. Like you see over here, this is a picture, but you see how much detail is added into it? Yeah, that's great. This is the game. You can play over here. And over here, so in Unity, I used Unity and C# to create this. And in Unity, you're able to put in some assets. So once you get to a certain place over here, you see this big mountain I was able to add. Also, what you notice here is like the lighting, it's dark everywhere, and the lighting is like specifically on the character. I was able to add this in Unity. And also the assets I was talking about, I put in this bridge, because assets you're able to download from a place and then import it into Unity to add. And then there's also the rivers you see here. That's also another asset you can download and import. And over in the distance, you see here the enemy, or like the guard, protecting the key in the distance. See, there's light around it, and then there's the key. You see, when I'm far away, the guard is protecting the key. That's like one, what was the word over here?
It's I really appreciate and very kudos to you. What is the plan? You want to do the multiplayer after this?
I'll try.
Alright, perfect.